Good evening and welcome to this week's PinkUn show, our dedicated Canary shenanigans that never turns down the chance to dance on a roof. Now, first of all, apologies, we are 20 minutes late. Technical issues, no one was late turning up or anything like that. Just took us a while to get connected, but that's our fault. We're here and we'll try and make up for it in the end. Hope you're with us because we've got lots of really good stuff coming up over the next 30, 45 minutes or so. I am Michael Bailey. Good evening to you. We are here at the Woolpack Public House in the centre of Norwich, live and late. And over the next however long it is, we will wrap up the Derby drama, assess the first month of the season, thank Louis Thompson for his commitment, look ahead to what's coming up, and get this, we speak exclusively to departed City stalwart Russell Martin. We've also got James Maddison talking fresh off the press from this afternoon. Again, that's not why we're late. We will do all this in the company of a pair, a public house pair, who this week are a fabulous fanzine special of Talk Norwich City's Chris Reeve and Vital Norwich editor Nathan Tuck. Gentlemen, how are you doing? Sorry to keep you waiting. Are you well?
Yes, very well indeed. Happy to be here.
Chris?
Just about over the Derby. Just
about.
Just.
Good job we gave you an extra 20 minutes then, really, isn't it? Right, we are live on PinkUn.com, I think, and certainly the PinkUn Facebook page. We're definitely live there. We want to hear from you too, be it on Mo Leitner's goal celebration, what you would now do with Nelson Oliveira, that youngest City backline this century, and especially what's going to keep you occupied in the absence of club football over the next fortnight or so. After all, it's only so many times you can watch this show and, of course, the PinkUn podcast, although, 20 minutes less to cover, so that's good. You can get all of those comments through to us here at the pub. Simply post your words below the Facebook feed and they will ping right through to my iPhone. Let's have a look. Hazel, Kev Saunders, a pair of eyes, probably because we hadn't turned up yet. Daniel Walker, come on, who's late arriving? No one was, Daniel, no one. Then it's me, Richie Temple. Is Nathan refusing to buy the drinks again?
Never.
Hey,
Richie, harsh.
I walked in and the drink was offered straight away, I must say. Well played.
You hear that, Richie?
Andrew Todd Nichols just posted a clock with, that looks like 8:30, so we're well ahead of schedule there, that's good. And Joel Nelson reminds me of the Mustard TV farce. Bit harsh. Farce. Johnny's Twitter meltdown was priceless. Yes, it was. So many of them were. Keep your messages coming in. Neil Luther says hello. Hello, Neil. Keep them coming in, and we'll go through them as the evening progresses. Now, Wesley Moulahan has rushed back from a heavy training session with Wes Barnett Albion. I think it works. In time to accompany us tonight. Thank you, Wesley. She's watching, and now, no bell obviously, joined for this week's headlines by Onel Hernandez. It's really loud. Here are the headlines. Dibble Dabble Derby. No one excelled, but everyone tried. It could be a motto for the rest of this season. It was honours even at Portman Road, which means City still have bragging rights. 54 years since Ipswich last managed to beat them. Russell up a club. Martin's Canaries service is over. Released by mutual consent at the end of the transfer window. He was the man who proved you could never please everyone all of the time, but that should never take the shine off what he did off the pitch and achieved on it during his 9 years at Carrow Road. I should have practiced this one. Oliveira. Oliveira. That's supposed to be a pun on hello, but could just as easily be a pun on hell. Either way, Nelson is still a Norwich player and will be until January at least. So now, we wait. And finally, when lions build a nest. Yes, England under-21s are in action tomorrow night at Carrow Road. Maddison and Gunn are back, and it's a crucial qualifier against the Netherlands. It promises to be a cracking night's action. There we go. No one's walked out of the pub. Just a few weird expressions on people's faces, which is normally what we get anyway. There we have it, guys. Let's start with Sunday, shall we? The dust has settled. How do we view it now? I'll come to you first, Nathan, because Chris is still getting over it.
Okay, I think that what we saw there was two poor teams playing out a very dull, drab game. Very little excitement. The only good thing about it is, as you say, it's still 54 years since Ipswich have beaten Norwich.
It was competitive. Was it dull?
It was dull. I was watching it on the red button Sky, streaming it, and it was fading in and out. And all the crucial points, it faded out a bit. And Mo's goal, I could tell he'd scored, but it faded out crucially at that point. So it wasn't brilliant.
Unlike us, of course, we're bang on time and top solid signal all the way through. So who's worst off then, Chris? Because obviously Norwich and Ipswich, as Nathan said, it's not a thing that other people haven't said. Both teams could be really struggling this year.
I think, quite honestly, Michael, I think both teams will be content, unfortunately, and I think, quite honestly, both managers will be kind of going, phew, I'm just so pleased that we didn't lose that one. I thought it was scrappy, but from a Norwich City point of view, I thought we subsided to their hoofball, and we played some relatively nice stuff in the first half, but just not consistent enough again. And when we feed the ball to Hernandez, stuff happens. When Max Aarons was on the ball, we looked particularly dangerous as well, which was great to see. But yeah, for me, we just kind of caved into playing the Ipswich way, which wasn't pleasant to watch.
It did go really direct, and Norwich have had a slight tendency, not really direct, but certainly to do things and evolve maybe from last year, which in fairness was a criticism last season.
Yeah, and he certainly in that first half, Mo Leitner was a bit withdrawn, and he was just clearly looking to pick out our pacey players, at Pukki and Hernandez, looking to get Buendia on early balls, just get it pinged in behind them quickly.
One question from Ian Honeyman. Hello there, Ian. Good evening. Any news on Louis Thompson yet? I was going to ask him. He obviously limped through the end of the game. Hamstring injury, so I'm guessing it's going to be several weeks off recovering. But I had to say, when I first saw it, I kind of worried that it was his ankle and he was having to play through that. So at least it is a hamstring injury, and he'll get through that. Well, a word for Louis, because he did opt to stay on the pitch, Chris, and make a real effort. And I mean, Morris Leitner said afterwards, wow, we still only had 10 men, effectively. But he did kind of make a nuisance of himself when he could.
Well, he kind of limped around, bless him, didn't he? I thought that when he came on, he looked powerful, ever-present, controls the game very, very well. Love Louis Thompson. Love his attitude as well. It's quite evident from his body language that he is a leader on the pitch. And I think he'll be a massive miss for us. I was very excited to see him playing consistently this season. I think he caused Ipswich problems. I think he's a very physical guy. And yeah, as I say, I think it'll be a massive miss for Norwich.
Great to see Mo Leitner score his first goal. It possibly, the criticism was mounting of him, to be honest, which, harsh or not, that is a fact that was coming from a lot of Norwich fans.
He's extremely talented, and I think that the issue with Mo is that he's been to lots of different clubs. It's not worked out for him in any one place. He's now at Norwich in the second tier of English football, and you kind of think, well, there must be a reason as to why all this talent is not being projected on the field. Great goal, and I thought he actually did okay in the derby. Everyone said that perhaps he needs to be more physical in his game. I thought he was okay.
I think we maybe forget he has been here since January, but he only played 12 games last year, so there's still a lot of adapting for him to do. I'm personally quite happy that there wasn't a massive meltdown at the end of unless I missed it all, and there was. But the last two international breaks heading into August, we had the 3-0 smashing at Birmingham, 4-0 against Millwall last year. I know we had an extra game in August this month, but it does seem that we're a little bit more settled, possibly going into September. You're pulling a funny face.
I think kind of what I noticed in terms of just purely the online feedback from that Ipswich result was that the people that went to the game, that actually sat in the stands, were like, God, I'm so pleased we got a point out of it, because Ipswich, when they play the ball up long, they only can lump it up to Johnny Walters on the turn, scrappy deflected goal. It can always hurt us. But yeah, I think that the people that perhaps watched it on TV, with respect, they didn't have as much pressure on us. I was sweating. I was literally cold sweats, feeling sick, because I thought when Ipswich scored, I thought, this is it. This is going to happen. This is their time. So I'm just relieved, really. Which
is something I've felt the last few times Norwich have played them. But I mean, it's kind of interesting that it's trotted out that Norwich were playing the bottom side away from home. Ipswich haven't won a game. They're rubbish. Blah blah blah, etc. etc. But I mean, in terms, Ipswich had so much more to play for. They're not good. Ipswich's issues probably going to come beyond here now, because they're not playing in a derby against Norwich. They're going to be. I think they're off to Hull at the weekend. Now, it's a horrible game. So it's not as straightforward as that for Norwich, is it? Whenever they play Ipswich.
No, and they managed to get a whole 25,000 fans inside their huge stadium that they keep telling us about, but they won't be there next week or the week after or the week after. And if you can't sell out for your own derby game, well, they're going to lose that support. They're going to get back to 16, 17,000, whatever it is they get on a weekly basis.
One thing
Maybe
that I
I'm
have
being
to
optimistic.
one thing that I have to add on Ipswich before we stop talking about them, because they're being and done now. When they come to Carrow Road, we'll slaughter them. We'll absolutely slaughter them, because if they play that style of football with that sort of tempo at home, when we've developed more into the season, when we're more confident on the ball, when we've worked out how we want to play, I honestly think we'll smash them.
Personally, I think you put away last weekend's game. It's the battles now for Ipswich. Talking about Ipswich, I remember should just say that Dan's not producing today. It's Sean. He is an Ipswich fan, so he won't be booing every time we mention Ipswich. Likewise, he's probably going to be very, very quiet. Let's get some of your messages, shall we? Jamie Ward. So much negativity from City supporters at the minute, all aimed at Farker. He may have his failings, but time is what is required. Look at the likes of Aarons, Lewis, Godfrey, Thompson, Cantwell, all getting a chance in the first team. It's amazing for the club, and he obviously likes how Farker puts a lot of emphasis on the side is well structured and managed in terms of bringing the youngsters through, and the performance at Portman Road, he's seen worse. Well, I would agree with that as well, because I remember getting smashed 5-0 there against a much better Ipswich side, it has to be said. Simon Meadows, let's see if I can read all this message. Evening, gents. Michael, have you recovered from Portman Road groundsman? He did almost sling me off the pitch during my video report. A guy in a cart, he wasn't very happy. So there we go. David Batson on the Ball City. Diane Quadling, hello Diane. She says hello to everyone. That's always nice. And David McKenzie, evening all. Nelson back in the fold. Hold that thought, we'll come back to it in a moment. Now, you can take in all the managers' and players' reactions, as well as our analysis from Sunday's derby, including me being binned off by a groundsman's cart. That's all at PinkUn.com, so you can catch it there. Now, last week also saw the full closure of the summer transfer window, finally. Not a lot happened, of course, theoretically, and Nelson Oliveira remains a Norwich City player. We will talk about him in a moment. But, of course, the big news of the day was the departure of City captain, Wembley Trophy lifter, and 3 times promotion winner Russell Martin. A contract paid up, a free agent to work out where next, and no doubt someone who will end up back at Carrow Road one way or another in future. I got to speak to the man himself earlier this afternoon. Thanks for joining us, Russ. Much appreciated. Just to start off with, how have you found the reaction since your departure became public knowledge? Because it seems to have been overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah, I'm extremely grateful and appreciative of every single. I've been sent so many messages and social media and through family and friends, etc. I feel bad because I just haven't got time to with a young family, etc. Even though I'm unemployed at the moment, I haven't got time to reply to every single one. But I am extremely grateful. It's been really humbling, and to be honest, it was an emotional few days, and over the weekend especially, because we've been really busy and I just didn't have time to read it all. And I spent a couple of hours in the evening catching up and everything. And it was really emotional. And as I said, I'm really grateful for that. And so I'd like to say thank you for everyone that has taken the time to say something or write to me. It's been really appreciated.
It must still feel a bit weird now. I mean, it's still only sort of 5 days or so, and as you've so eloquently put it, you are out unemployed now.
Yeah, I think it's going to, even if I'd signed for another club the day after, I think the fact it would still feel strange not going into Colney every day and not being part of the football club, which has played such a huge part of my life for so long. So I think it's definitely going to be a transition period for me and my family, wherever I end up and at whatever time, however long that takes. So it is going to be strange. I will miss the place and I will certainly miss the people involved in it. But unfortunately, that's football and that's life. At times, it has to move on. But at the moment, it's just spending some time with the family and just weighing up my options really. And there's a few offers on the table already, which is good, which is pleasing. But and I think they all understand that I just want to take my time over it because it needs to be the right one for me. Really, I need to be back somewhere and playing and making a difference and being part of something.
I mean, you did do a lot of talking when your exit came about, and I think it was eloquent and a lot of nice stuff from Delia and Michael as well. But is there any regrets that you leave the club with? And of course, I'm especially thinking about in terms of how it's kind of ended in the last year or so.
For me, none at all. I think I've given everything I possibly can for the football club over a long period of time, on and off the pitch. As I said, I would have liked to have played more, but it's not my decision. So the last year has been out of my hands, really. Of course, I wanted to be playing. It hurt me not to play, so I went away and played. And have come back. And to be honest, regrets my end, none at all. It's been a brilliant period of my life and my career at the football club. I haven't changed anything in the last year. I've stayed as professional as I possibly can be, and I pride myself on being a professional. So that hasn't changed. So I've got no regrets. It's not my decision to pick the team and who the manager wants to be part of the club going forward. So that's what it is, really. I've got no regrets at all. As I said, one of the best periods of my life and the best parts of my career, and that will always be the same. So I've got no animosity or bitterness to anyone. I've got no regrets on my part. It is what it is.
And the one thing I did want to ask as well, because it is the first time I think we've had to speak to you since what happened at Millwall, which I guess none of us kind of really thought that would be your last performance for the club. Is there any part of that plays on your mind at all?
Millwall was a bad day. It was a bad day for everyone. It really hurt me getting booed off, and I think it was really difficult to take at the time, especially when you're going to have good games, you have bad games. It was a completely new team, quite a young and inexperienced team, lots of new players, but I was the one, unfortunately, that I guess was the one that was the target that day. There'll be different people on different days. Obviously Marcel, I don't think played very much after that either, so it's just one of them things. It's football. I didn't envisage it being the end of my Norwich career there and then. That, I'll be honest, I always backed myself to sort of try and turn it round and work hard and see what came of things, but it wasn't to be. And as I said, it's not easy to take, and it hurts me because I love that football club and I love being there, and but I'd loved for it to have ended in a much more positive and nice way on the pitch. But it was a long time ago, to be honest. You have to get over that and move on, and I have done that. So it's a shame that was my last game for Norwich City. But at the same time, I won't remember that in years to come. I'll remember all the positives and the good times, because that's far outweighed the negative stuff.
100%, and it's tough asking that stuff when you spent such a long career achieving so much for the football club as well. Now that you've left, I'm curious as to what you think is possible with both the first team players that you've left behind now, and what Norwich fans, obviously, that they'll still be following this club regardless of who the players are. What can they realistically expect, do you think, from that team and the coaching setup going forward for this season?
I'll be honest, as you said, with the Norwich fan, I'll be following the club as well regardless. So to be honest, I don't see why they should finish lower than last season, that's for sure. I think the squad's really good. I think it's been strengthened in the summer. I think it's got a few more people in there now that know the league and know what it takes. So I think the squad's really strong. I think it's really strong, and I think it's been a real tough start to the season, but when you looked at the fixture list when it first came out, I don't think anyone could have expected any different. It's a really tough first 10 fixtures. So you've just got to get through that in a better place than where you were at the start of the season. And, sometimes things take time. But I genuinely feel that this squad, with the strength it's got, and it's a fairly big squad, it's got quite a bit of depth. I think it should be, definitely progressing from last season and trying to push into that, into the top half and maybe into the edge of the playoff places. But I think just progress this year, really. I think for them boys, I think that's what they all want, and they want to just give it a right go and see what comes of it.
And of course, as a matter of circumstance, you spent Germany away with the under-23s and with Matt Gill. So we've already seen Max Aaron step up. We had Jamal last year. We can all see what the strikers are doing as well in terms of Anthony Spyro and Adam Ider. Can you see more of those guys breaking through, having sort of played with them and been amongst them at close quarters?
Yeah, definitely. And I think ultimately it will come down to opportunities. And with Stuart there now, I think he's desperate to give academy players their chance, an opportunity in the first team. He knows that's what fans would like to see. There's nothing better than a local lad coming through and showing what he's about and doing well for the football club. And I think in that group now, what I would say is Matt Gill and Jay Smith and the players, they were brilliant with me. I'd like to think I helped them a little bit as well, if I could in some ways. But they've got a real good, honest bunch, and there's a really good feel about the group this year. And they know that, team success and the team doing well will lead them to be doing better as individuals and being noticed more. So they get that. It's not about being selfish and trying to just progress yourself. You try and progress together as a group, and I think they're doing that. And it's, there's a lot of new players in there, and it'll take some time, but I think Gilly's doing a brilliant job with them, and they will get their opportunities. It's as simple as that. And it might come out of necessity with finance of the club eventually, or it might come out of just playing well and doing the right things day in, day out. And that's what we've said to them, and they've really taken that on board now, the other side of it, because they're all good players, but the other side of being professional, eating well, recovering and stuff like that, and that will only help them. But there's some real good players in there. I don't want to put pressure on people and name individuals, but some really good players, and I'm confident you'll see a good few of them coming through in the next couple of years.
Russ, top class as always. Good luck for the future. Final question, when are you coming back?
We'll see. A few more years of playing yet, and then we'll see.
Good man. Cheers, Russ.
Top man. Cheers, Michael.
And thanks to Russ for making the time to have that chat, given the club had done all their stuff, of course, on Friday. Final words then on Russ, gents. Chris, I mean, he came on the Talk Norwich City podcast, didn't he, a while back, and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I think just that one case of Russ is a kind of a small example of the fact that, you know, he pushed that through. He was the one that said to the Norwich City media team, "I'm really keen to do this. Let me come on to push it through." And actually, more importantly, I thought that his tribute to Peter Oldfield when he scored against Reading was just very emotional, very appropriate, and it made me fall in love with Norwich City again. And I think that the guy is an absolute Stonewall legend. I think the way he's been treated is unfair, and I think that. And I don't think that Daniel Farker has managed any of the experienced players well. That's not just Russell Martin. I think that all of the experienced players have been harshly treated by Daniel Farker. I think, honestly, I'm not going to sit on the fence here. I just think that last season and this season we do lack leaders. Even if I'm not even look, think what you like about Russ in terms of his performances on the pitch. I think he's good enough. But if you don't, that's fair enough. But he needs to be on the bus with the young lads saying, "Come on, let's go and win this game today." What a difference that makes. I'm very sad about Russ leaving.
I think the only thing that's got me is that you have someone like Russ on your side, regardless of whether he's playing on the pitch or not. Then that, as Chris says, can make a big difference around the place. But clearly, that was never an ability that could happen between him and Daniel.
No, Daniel obviously decided that he wasn't going to be up for it, which is bizarre because he gave him the captaincy as soon as he arrived and said, "Russell Martin will be my captain," and then 2 months later it's all over and he never plays again. And like Chris said there, he did have a great Norwich City career, an excellent Norwich City career, and it all ended on a sour note with the fans, with some of the fans, which is a shame. I don't think he was necessarily good enough to be a first choice centre back, but to be in reserve, to play at right back, I think he's a better defender than Ivo Pinto is.
Making him play and train with the under 23s is disgraceful. It's honestly, it's absolutely disgraceful.
That's a fair point. I'm not going to argue with you. In terms of him coming back, Nathan, do you reckon it'll happen?
Oh, I would have thought so. He obviously lives here. He's said that Norwich is his club. He's supporting Norwich. I've met him a couple of times, and he's an absolute gentleman. Chris obviously has met him and spoken to him a lot more than I have. But he's an absolute gentleman, a top bloke. And yeah, why not?
It'll be interesting where he ends up now, won't it, Chris? Because both him and Wes Hoolahan, I think it's come out in the press today, are training with West Bromwich Albion. Now, some have assumed, therefore, that's with trials and contracts in mind. No, not sure about that. But we'll see. We'll see how these things play out. Be interesting, though, wouldn't it, where he ends up?
Wes or Russ or both? Absolutely. And I think that both Wes and Russ will definitely have a future with Norwich City, which is great because I think you need people in the system that care. I think that I'm personally disappointed that Darren Huckabee isn't at the club anymore. I think bringing in Grant Holt is a ridiculously smart move.
Yeah, it's great.
You need legends at the club. You need people in there to say to the youth players, this is what it means to play for Norwich City. Because I think that there is a lack of that at the moment. I think there is a potential power issue, in my personal opinion, with our current head coach and the players.
Ian Honeyman has been in touch again. One game and Max Aarons already looks like the best right back we have at the club. I'm sure Max will be coming on and talk about Max a bit more in a bit. What was the one? Lisa Jack. First the positives, 2 shots on target and 1 goal, which I'm guessing was from Sunday. But City at the moment are just not exciting to watch. Need something to get us going. Still not exciting to watch. Oh no! David McKenzie, as he mentioned earlier. Nelson back in the fold? ? Neil Luther. Get Nels playing again, but only if he wants to be involved. Nelson Oliveira will be here until January. There are no proper transfer windows open until January. What happens now?
I mean, I'm certainly playing Nelson Oliveira in the cup. There's no doubt that the guy's got talent on his day. Quite clearly, his personality has potentially caused him some issues. But quite frankly, you look at you look at some of the most talented players in the world. They've got big personalities. Yeah. Sergio Ramos, Diego Costa. These are players that are phenomenal athletes. And there's no doubt that Nelson Oliveira is an athlete, and I think that used correctly, he can cause some serious damage. At the moment, we don't have a plan B. We have Dennis Rabeni. It's all very romantic, Michael.
He's not a plan
For
B.
me,
He's
no,
not a
it's
plan
fine.
B.
He came on against Ipswich, and me and Jack were like, if Nelson scores, tops off, we're going to go on the roof and everything. It's just romantic. Nelson Oliveira, plan B, I've got a lot of interest there.
I certainly appreciate Nelson being in the mix, seeing things from Dennis that we haven't seen before, especially at Cardiff, so they are there. But it would be such a waste if Nelson did not feature between now and January, surely, regardless of what else has gone on.
Yeah, if you look at the money alone, we're struggled with finance, and we must be paying this guy 30 grand a week, something like that, and he has to be reintegrated into the squad. I can see no other sensible way forward, and if he isn't, that can only be down to Daniel Farke. I think from looking at social media, Nelson gets on and is well thought of by his teammates. So therefore he can't be disruptive with them. He's probably just got a personality clash perhaps with Daniel Farke, is how it looks from the outside.
Let's get some more answers. Matt Plunkett, hi guys, who has been the player who has impressed you all so far? So any player impressed you all this season? I have to say Jamal Lewis, since he came back, looks a much better player than even last year. I think he seems to have made a step forward.
Yes, for me, I'm just so excited about Max Aarons. I think, no, honestly, I can't hide it. And this is another thing that's been frustrating me about Daniel Farke. Give the guys some praise. You don't need to play it down. If they've played well, say they've played well. Max Aarons has been phenomenal since he's been in. I would be stunned if he doesn't cement his place in the team now for the rest of the season, and he deserves it. He looks so calm and collected on the ball, yet he's got that youthful pace and ability. He's technically there. He's not afraid to take players on going forwards, which for a defender is rare. So excited about Max Aarons.
I'm pretty sure that Daniel is praising Max a lot in private. I don't think he wants to let anyone on to how good he is at the moment, to be honest. But there we go. Nathan, you?
I think I'd probably go with Jamal Lewis, which, as you said there, I mean, we've got two terrific young prospects there at fullback. And like Chris just said, I cannot see that Ivo Pinto can come back and replace Aarons on the other side. Just don't see that happening.
No, indeed. And Evo's out of contract in the summer as well. Neil Luther, can you stop squeaking Onel Hernandez, as my dog is going crazy looking for it? I'll try not. Yeah, it's Nathan's fault. He just kept squeaking. Yeah. Chris Jennings, Farke out. Chris Jennings. I know he's a big Daniel Farke fan from being on Twitter. Hey, Chris. So that's all good. What else do we? Lee Coates, do think we should have Oliveira on the bench. It's interesting you mentioned the cup game at Wickham. I can see that being quite a handy little reintegration point as we go forward, because it's a busy month of away games and a busy week. Right, you know what time it is, Sean. Yes, it's Flip the Bird, the game a handful of people definitely want to play, and here are two of them. Now, last time out, it got very scratchy between the Along-Come Norwich boys. I think I actually gave Andy an extra point when I probably should have disqualified Tom for some shocking work. But there we go. I think Tom is now our new leader on 8. Just have a practice, and then you have to add your next one on. So Tom is on 8. He's ahead of last year's joint winner Steve Cook. Andy Lawn snuck nicely in at 6. But there we go. These two will be doing their best to odds that. Let's have a look at what you guys did. Can I see one here? Chris Reeve, you got 5 last year, apparently, but then that might have been 10 in a minute. And what did you get, Nathan? Where are you on here? I should have checked this before, but I didn't. You were on 5 too. So a pair of 5s. Let's see what you got. So remember, you need to flip one. If you catch it, you add the next one on top, so you're flipping 2. Okay. But you don't have to start again when you drop. So Sean's ready with the timer. Chris is praying to the god of Flip the Bird. I don't know who that is. 3, 2, 1. Away you go! And it's a cool, calm, collected start. No particular urgency from these two, it has to be said. But Chris is just motoring on nicely. We know that Chris likes going to the gym. I imagine he's been practicing getting his flip the bird technique right as well, especially with those biceps. Nathan's keeping it ticking along. His son's watching, so he's got his son to impress as well. And are we nearly at half a minute? We've got 8 seconds. Don't look at the clock, Nathan. Just concentrate. No, I can't give you that one. Chris has just lost one there, but that is it. Time out. Serene pace. Chris has got a very impressive pile there. Nathan, how many have you got?
Done that? No way.
Let's do one more for luck. You ready? 10.
10. Leaderboard. Chris, all that work down the gym. Nathan, 3. It is still more than Paddy got last season, if that helps. Well done. Well, 3. And Chris, how do you feel about that? You're at the top of the leaderboard. Do you think you'll be there at the end of the season?
Delighted, ecstatic, overwhelmed, and I'd like to thank all of my fans for this phenomenal achievement in my career.
So that's the way. You get a selfie with Wesley Moulahan. You'll be leaving with that tonight. We'll do that off air as we were running late anyway. So good work, gents. Well done. If any of you guys want to come down to the pub to join us for the PinkUn show and actually have a go at this, get in touch. You can do so on social media. You know how to get in touch with us, I'm sure. Or leave us a message. Why not? Right, we'll have a very quick chat with you both because it's always nice if we have our guests in. We have a quick chat with you. Chris, talk Norwich City. Seems to be going very well. You did have to both recoil a bit, you and Jack, in terms of your Daniel criticism and also Dennis off the back of the Cardiff game. When everything, it's like they listened to it and they were showing you.
No, that's fine. And me and Jack are going to continue to slag off our worst player of that game if they continue to react like that. I mean, look, I don't mind admitting it. I think it's okay I think it's totally okay to change your opinion. I think that Dennis has worked hard. There's no doubt that he's not had the best start. But then what do you expect? We were laughing because Dennis Rabeni wears a cap, if you spot him around the city, that says icon on the front. So now we call him Dennis Rabeni the icon. But yeah, I think they've deserved their criticism. I don't think we're going to hide from that. But we'll also give them their praise when it's due. And right now, Dennis Rabeni, he's playing well enough. It's good.
Stuff. And Nathan, Vital Norwich, of course, which is where I started working before I got my job back in the day. Now, I know you host the Coop and Duck podcast, don't you, on there at times? And did you like the rap?
Loved it. Absolute genius.
Did you get a mention in that?
Yeah, I know.
That's brilliant.
I know, hilarious. He sent it to me. Chris sent it to me, and I just. Well, what can you do? I just had to do that kind of applauding thing on Twitter, applauding emoji.
That's why someone created emoji.
Yeah, it was just genius.
It's very good.
Well done, Chris.
Have you been on their podcast yet?
No, I haven't. No, only in recorded form, Chris. Where he does keep saying, we'll have to get you on, Tuxter. And I'm like, yeah, okay, great, yeah.
Just come on the Norwich City podcast instead.
I don't mind. Yeah.
All right, well, still waiting, Chris. Get a word in. Cheers, gents. When you're ready, anytime, no pressure. Right, let's bring you up to date with Norwich City notice board. Oh yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. With the weird, wacky, wonderful, and in some cases actually important bits and pieces you may want to know about. First up, there was Derby success this week. Good news. The annual Derby Down Under saw the first win in 4 years for City. The match was played on a, get this, cold 20-degree day with patches of sunshine. Sounds horrendous. At Centennial Parkland, Sydney, Australia, with Canaries Down Under winning 3-2. Courtney Page lifted the trophy, having also thumped home the winning penalty.
Well done, Courtney.
Well done, Courtney. It's top stuff. Derby folklore awaits. And both teams also raised 350 Aussie dollars, which is almost 200 quid, for Wheelchair Sports New South Wales, Australia. Well done all. Well done. Brilliant. Also, well done to Kathy Blake, friend. I think I can call her a friend of the show. Hope so, Kathy. You've been on the show, so that counts. Who managed to spot this little cracker on the Sky Sports website before it was swiftly erased from history. As you can see, Ipswich spelt with a 1 and a 5. Obviously, you can't correct something that's already corrected, hence why I've just said it's been erased. Well done, whoever you are behind the scenes at Sky Sports. And finally, if you fancy playing some football yourself this weekend, then get your five-a-side team in for the Premier League in a day tournament taking place on Saturday at Goals in Norwich, which is raising money for Nelson's Journey. Anyone keen to get involved should email neil.townsend@nakedwines.com to get your team's place. And of course, if there are any tweets, stories, events or groups of a Norwich City nature that you want to flag up here on the PinkUn Show, then let us know via all the usual social media channels, or you can send us an email to... Ready, Sean? You got it up? Perfect. the PinkUn at archant.co.uk. Graphics extraordinaires. So, here's how the championship picture looks. I'll get these boys the sheets. There you go. Heading into the first international break of the season. The top two only managed a goalless draw, and it was dull at Elland Road, but the rest of the weekend was lively. Derby won at Hull for the second time in a few days, while Sheffield United were the big winners. Reading lost again, and come Sunday, there was an eye-catching win for Bristol City. The Blades are replicating their positive start from last season, while Bristol City are in the top six, and with Swansea and West Brom still well placed, although Villa are having something of a wobble. Ipswich's point against Norwich, of course, took them off the foot of the table, but they remain winless alongside Reading and Birmingham. Norwich picked up a place too, but they are already, get this surprised me, 4 points off breaking into the top half of the table. No fixtures this weekend, of course, but come the following weekend as the Midlands derby, City host Tony Pulis' title hopefuls, while Ipswich travel to Hull. Leeds head for the Den, and Villa are on the TV again, this time at Blackburn. There is also a full midweek programme after that weekend, when Norwich will visit Reading. Ugh. So, it's not really going to get any easier for Norwich, is it, with Middlesbrough, who look a strange old side, and look a Tony Pulis side, if I'm honest.
Typical Tony Pulis side, aren't they? Some big lads, and he'll be looking to get it in the mixer, I should imagine.
They've spent a lot of money, they've got loads of options, and I know they've sold a few players as well, but it'll be really interesting, I guess, comparing them to Leeds.
They've got some brilliant players, and fair play to Pulis. If he's got a style, he's got a philosophy, and he carries it out effectively, doesn't he? So I can't slate the guy. He gets results.
Right now, if someone said to me, "Would you swap Tony Pulis for Daniel Farke?" I'd take it.
He's gone there. Bold. It's fine. I love it.
It's effective football.
Okay.
He wins games, and ultimately, isn't that what we all want?
Just thinking of Chris Hughton and keeping Brighton afloat at the moment, but let's not get stuck into that debate. God, Ipswich, they have a big game. Say with Hull. We've talked enough about Ipswich, actually. Are they in trouble? Probably. Bristol City flying high, which I wasn't expecting because they've sold quite a few players, but they've rebuilt really well, actually. So obviously Marley Watkins. But bless him. Yeah. Andreas Weiman's hit the ground running. I mean, do we feel like the table is starting to take shape now? Because there's a lot of movement, as you can see, on the table. But
they say give it 10 games, don't they? And yeah, I think you can see that the big players are already, the favourites, if you like, are already up there. In the top half, and yeah, if it finished like that, could anybody really argue especially with us? I can't see us challenging much.
As Russ said, finishing below 14th of last season shouldn't be the case, really. Anyway.
No, absolutely not. No, it's completely unacceptable if we do. For me, I just need to heap praise on Leeds again. I thought that they were very, very good at Carrow Road.
Good.
And it kills me to say I'm jealous of them at the moment, but I am. I can't hide it. I am. I thought that they played such aggressive, high pressing. All they did is play two-touch football,
and that's the
they will be up there.
That's the coach.
1,000,000%. They will win this league easily. Easily.
It's interesting listening to them that their squad is not as big as they would like. But they did underachieve last year as well. There's no way they should have finished where they did last year. So there we go. Right, let's get a couple more questions, shall we, before we move it on. Neil Luther, why do you think Daniel Farke has stopped playing three at the back? I must admit, I'm surprised we haven't seen it more this season, but I wonder if that's just an element of the midfield mix he's got to accommodate almost.
He's got lots of midfield players, and I still think, particularly you look at him at home, he's a 4-1-4-1 man, isn't he? And that's he's rigid and sticking to that, and we've not looked great with it. We've looked better when we are three at the back, definitely.
Seb Taylor, I'm trying to read your whole message, but Facebook's still not letting me. But I think it's a shame about Russ. Do you think we'll see Nelson again? Love Talk Norwich City, by the way, Chris. So there you go. There's a fan. You have got a fan, and there he is. Simon Meadows, probably like many... Oh, Facebook's not doing me any favours. Probably like many, our frustrations are increasingly understandable. There were a few chants when they're underneath, I think, at Portman Road about not being happy with Daniel and sort it out and things. I mean, we didn't hear them from the press box, I have to say. Ian Honeyman says Portugal window open for another couple of weeks, apparently. That is not true. Apparently, the FIFA TMS website has the women's transfer window dates incorrectly as the men's transfer window as well. So Spain, Portugal, they've all ended back on Friday, and Daniel actually said that and it was a mistake, so there we go. Joe McKenzie, hello all and farewell, good luck Russ. James McKay really wish Russ got a proper send-off. Of course, does beg the question as to whether they will want to do something to send Russ off at some point. I think Stuart Webber had said that at the fans forum a few weeks ago, so we will see. Billy Smart, poor old boy, at least you got to watch the match live 3 hours later. I missed the context of that, but cheers, Billy. I know, Billy. I know it would have been a good point, and I've lost track of what it was. And James Livy, if Farke stopped the silly zonal marking, then we wouldn't concede so many goals from set pieces. Nathan, discuss.
Ooh, well, yeah, that's the story of our season last year, and looks like it started off this year. Just individual errors, people just mistake after mistake that are allowing people to score fairly soft goals. It's disappointing. When does it end?
Pass. Save that one for another day. Dan Myers, controversial. Chris cheated, only 9 in the allocated time.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I'll take 9 then.
I don't think
still top.
I don't think it
It's fine.
doesn't affect tonight's result really.
No worries.
Okay, sorry, Chris. No immediate action, of course, this weekend, but some players will be on international duty. Tim is back in Switzerland contention. He's recovered from his headache, so that's good. I'm joking, Tim. Jamal Michael McGovern away with Northern Ireland. Simo Pukki is with Finland. Max Aarons, England under-19s. Adam Ida, Irish under-19s. Not quite the same amount of internationals we used to have on away during international breaks, is it, Chris?
No, it's not, but it's just where we're at, and I think that's okay. I don't think it's the end of the world to not have internationals. You see plenty of sides doing well without them, in my opinion, so I'm fairly comfortable with that, and I think that right now we need players at Colney working hard, so I'm comfortable with it.
Nathan?
Yeah, definitely. And like Chris had sort of intimated there, if our best players go away and then get injured on international duty and they come back, what use are they to us? So I'm quite happy for them to stay here, really.
It's good that they are, and also that there's probably a few players that have gone away that could have done with a break. Let's say Jamal, whichever, having been out for a while. But let's hope they all do well, of course, who are away. I just wanted to flag up Norwich's September, because this is it's a nice opportunity to look ahead at the month that's coming up. Clearly, we've played the first game of the month, but we've got that busy week of 3 away games, including the Cup game, which is of course Wickham. That's not a championship fixture. Once you get Middlesbrough out of the way, that is a really interesting run of 3 games, isn't it? And talking about expectations, Chris, Norwich need to pick up a fair few points, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I do expect this season. I'm not going to hide from that. I just think that we've done the fluffy. I know transition takes time. I get that. I'm not going to bang on the patience drum at all, because I'm kind of done with it. I don't think there's an excuse. I think that Daniel Farke's got enough talent in that team to make it happen. It's down to his tactics and his implementation of that to win games. I mean, I look at these next 3 games in the league, and I think that there's 9 points there.
That should be 9 points.
I'm sorry. I just
be 9 points.
and in seasons gone by, and I know we're not that same team now, but I would look at these teams and I'd say that's definitely 3 points there. I just think I'm tired of it. And I said let's just take a step back. Post the last gasp defeat to Sheffield United, and about you, Nathan, but I was so disappointed and disheartened by that I said, right, Leeds are top of the league. You can't expect anything out of that. But going up against Ipswich, if you were to lose that game, I think that we would be having a very, very different conversation now, Michael. For me, Daniel Farke scrapes through, and off the next 3 games, surely 6 points. At least, surely you have to.
Yeah, and the way that Farke's reign has gone so far, he tends to win a game, lose 2, get a draw. He limps along, and I can just see that is how our season may unfold. I desperately hope it doesn't. And those next 3 away games there, or those next 3 league games, they should be yielding 9 points for Norwich City. But I bet they don't.
Well, yep, that's certainly a discussion point. It is, of course, Middlesbrough coming up. We'll have a very quick look, shall we, at the 11s, because we are a couple of weeks away. We don't know exactly what the injury situation will be in a couple of weeks' time. But who should we go first with, Sean? Nathan, let's have a look at your 11 first.
Well, my 11 there looks... I was just going to say if it looks fairly similar to Chris's. It's not far off. I'd go with Buendia, Pukki, Hernandez, Rhodes. I think the major difference, which we may argue about here, is Alex Tettey, and he's gone Tom Tribal. I know that at times Alex Tettey has a foot shaped like a 50p piece, and the ball will bounce off him. But no one else is as destructive and has that. He is a one-off in our team.
I have to say, I mean, it is a discussion that's normally had, but I agree with you both, because I would have Tom sitting if you've got a back three, and I'd have Tettey if you've got a back two, personally. So.
Yeah, that's actually a fair point. I think look, I love Alexander Tettey. He's been like one of my favourite players since following Norwich, genuinely. I just think that now he's very much a squad player. I think that gone are the days where you have a central defensive midfielder that is put in the team solely to break up play. I think that the new central defensive midfielder, you look at the Yaya Toures, you look at the N'Golo Kantés for Chelsea, there's so much more than just breaking the play up. For me, Tom Tribal has way more energy than Tettey. He's so much better on the ball. He doesn't lose it either.
That's not in dispute. I just don't think he's got enough energy. I don't think he's got as much energy as Alex. Not as athletic.
The problem with Tom is I said the problem with Tom is his defensive nous in terms of the amount of times he ends up getting wrong side of the midfielder who's supposed to be covered.
Against Leeds was a perfect example of that, wasn't it?
And what we can agree on, definitely, can we just put this thing to bed? We do not need Tettey and Tribal playing together. Can we agree on that? Do the viewers agree on that? I don't know. For me, I'm tired of sitting back, soaking up the pressure.
At home.
I mean, come on, man. Go and attack the game. Yeah. Go and put them on the back foot. And I think that both of our teams reflect that nicely.
Have we had a look at Chris's team? Sean, do you want to flash it up? So here's a quick look at it. As you said, it's a three at the back. You've got Christoph back in and no Ben Godfrey.
Yeah, I think Godfrey was excellent against Ipswich. I absolutely, totally agree with that. I love the Zim. I love his attitude. I don't think he makes many mistakes. I think he deserves a fair crack at the whip. And I think in a back three, he can be very, very effective, particularly with Tom Tribal in front of him. But in all honesty, Zimmerman, Godfrey, one of the two. I'm comfortable with either. The main thing, really, I'm going to highlight, one player here that we haven't spoken about much in this on this kind of show is Teemu Pukki. I think that his play, his energy, the way he's creating opportunities for Rhodes, I think that those two have already won more balls than we did throughout the whole of last season, and I think that you'll see Teemu Pukki and Jordan Rhodes do very, very well this season.
It's going to become a bit of a cult hero, I think, Teemu Pukki. I like him a lot. Last little looks at some questions, shall we? Daniel Walker, Martin and Houlihan joint testimonial game, double question mark. Would you both be up for that?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely. How lovely. Although Wes has already had his big goodbye, hasn't he? Peter Reeve, any relation? Happy with a draw at the bottom of the league. We need to value our team better than that. I can't read the rest of it.
Bless him, the old man is very much Farker out. And I can't disagree, honestly. I want to put this straight. I'm not Farker out, but I just want to be able to be realistic. I think that I get what he's trying to do, I just don't think he's doing it quick enough.
Or well enough. And I'm not convinced he can do it.
Oof. And Peter is saying, is Middlesbrough a must-win?
I think every game's a must-win.
Billy Craddock, I'd like to see Godfrey in the central defensive midfielder or CDM position. Yes, I would, but apparently he's a world-class potential centre-back, which was not the answer I was expecting when I asked Daniel Farker that last week. But there we go. We will see him play there more than likely. Final bit then, it is of course England under 21s at Carrow Road. Tomorrow night they're playing the Netherlands in an important qualification game, obviously. Angus Gunn and James Maddison both back at Carrow Road, and we got to speak to James Maddison just this afternoon after training back on his old pitch.
It's brilliant to be back, As I just said, I've got so many good memories with this club and so many good associations and friendships and relationships that I've built over the last 2 years I was here. And yeah, it's brilliant for me, and I'm really delighted to be back here. I think it was announced that it was here when I was still at the club, so it was a bit of a weird one. But obviously I had to leave the club, went to Leicester, and to come back here and play again in front of the fans, it's a good feeling. Normally, when someone leaves a club, I've never experienced it like that before. I mean, it was almost as if the Norwich fans are happy for me to go and get the opportunity to play in the Premier League, and I'm grateful for that. And like I said, the process of me moving to Leicester was so smooth with the fans, the club, the manager, Stuart, and because they understood that I wanted to go and test myself in the best league in the world, and I felt like I deserved that opportunity. And like I said, yeah, I felt like they were really happy for me, and I can only be grateful for that. To play for England, to play for your country, that's a feeling that you don't very often get the opportunity to do that. So when I made my debut in Ukraine back in November, that was a feeling that I'll never forget, and it's an honour every time I get to pull on the jersey. So and tomorrow night will be no different. Family are travelling down, got a few friends coming and stuff, so it'll be a special occasion for me tomorrow. Being back here is obviously a special feeling, and to walk out that tunnel again will be one I won't forget, I'm sure. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it again.
Brilliant stuff. So if you're free on Thursday night, don't go on Friday night, Thursday night, go and watch James Maddison and Angus Gunn back at Carrow Road, because, you know, we all got enough of them last year, most definitely. So just back on Norwich then, September, I want a key man from you guys. Who's the key man?
I think it's going to be Kenny McLean. It's going to make a big difference to our midfield. He's going to bring goals, and he's going to bring that hard-as-nails Scotsman attitude.
I agree with that, but again, I'm just going to praise and highlight Max Aarons. I think that he will hopefully cement his place in the team and hopefully become a player that every single Norwich City fan says, first name on the team sheet.
Can see it happening. Gents, thank you so much. Final messages here. Peter Reeve, come on Angus, love it. Gavin Kavanagh, what is Pukki's actual or best position? Don't know exactly where he's playing now, I reckon. And Edward Ivans, we don't feed Rhodes enough, in my opinion, which is an issue with Onel Hernandez at the moment. Simon Meadows, good luck. Oh, for James Maddison, what a player, professional. Good luck, James. You're going places. He is. Sadly not with Norwich City, but that's a debate for another day. That is it from us for tonight. Thank you so much for your patience and for not binning us off right at the start, because we were late. We do apologise for that. We'll be bang on time next time, I promise. Remember, you can catch this show and all our superb Norwich City coverage on the PinkUn Facebook page and YouTube channel, but of course, first and foremost, PinkUn.com. And remember, if you want to come and join us at your local, be it your pub, cafe, chilling room, gym, or if you want to be one of our fan pundits, have a go at Flip the Bird, simply send an email to thepinkun@archant.co.uk and we will do the rest from there. In the meantime, it is a big thank you to our guests tonight, the wonderful Chris and Nathan. Thank you, gents, top work. To the Wall Pack for putting up with us, to the crew, which is of course Sean on his own, top work Sean, well done. To you guys for watching and getting involved. We always appreciate all your messages, and we'll do it all again next week. Until then, rest up and enjoy some football that you don't quite care about as much as you know who. Until then, next week, good night.